Second. Okay. All right, so we're on, and we continue in Lev Shalem. We're on 27 and 28 in Sim Shalom, page 23. Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat tov lehodo l'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon lehagid baboker chastecha ve'emunatcha baleilot alei asor v'alei navel alei higayon bechino Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat tov lehodo l'Adonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ulezamer l'shimcha elyon ki samachtan Adonai b'folecha ma'aseh yadecha amen. Oh, dienuvun b'seiva deshenim verananim yiyu lehagid ki ashar Adonai Suri Velo avlatabo Adonai malach Elovei Shavei Shemayos Yosef Adam Dorovakim Eidotecha nemnu meod Leveit Chana v'Kodesh Adonai leorech yamim La 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 la. Mourner's Kaddish for those observing Yartzeit and those in mourning. Page 30 in Lev Shalem, 24 in Sim Shalom. Yid Kadal, Vid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alman Divrach, Iruteviam, Lich Malchutei, V'chayechon, B'yomechon, V'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, V'agalav Izman Karivim, Ru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevarach, Le'olam Ol Me'ol Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudesha, B'richu, La'ela Minko, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'imroma, V'yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. So we turn back in our Sidurim to Pirkei Avot as we continue our study of this section of rabbinic literature. We're on page 244 in the Lev Shalem, or 265 in the Sim Shalom, chapter 3, number 6. So on 244, it's the second paragraph. On 265 in Sim Shalom, we're on the top of the page. So Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana Omer. And so he used to say, Kol hamekabel alav ol Torah, everyone who accepts upon themselves the yoke of Torah, right? So in other words, that is, if you buy into the system of Jewish law and practice, everyone who buys into that and follows all the commandments, ma'avirin mimenu ol malchut ve'ol derech eretz. Then, if you accept the yoke of Torah or the burden of Torah, then you get to have the yoke of the government in which you live, and also the yoke of everyday life, and that is the responsibility of making a living. All those are taken off of you. Those burdens are taken off of you. So if you accept the burden of Torah, then the burden of the government in which you live and the burden of making a living is taken away. And the opposite, v'chol haporek mimenu ol Torah, anyone who gets rid of the burden of Torah, that is, you don't accept upon yourself that burden, you decide to get rid of that yoke, then notnin alav ol malchut ve'ol derech eretz. So you think you get rid of the burden of Torah, but you're only going to have the burden of the government in which you live, all the heavy taxation, oppression, that kind of thing. That's what's the burden of the government, and also the burden of living. So it's an interesting idea for Nechunya ben Hakana that clearly you're still going to have the burden of making a living and the burden of the government in which you live. No matter what you do, whether you follow Jewish law or not, the burden is there. But perhaps we can understand Nechunya's statement being that if you accept upon yourself the spiritual life and the understanding of faith in God, then I think the other burdens become lighter. You have a way in which to deal with those burdens that it wouldn't feel like a burden. But if you don't have a spiritual burden, if you don't have a spiritual life, then you don't have something with which you can counteract the burdens of government and making a living, right? So spirituality lightens our burdens, and if you don't have it, it makes our burdens heavier. Any thoughts or comments about that?
Is this the basis on which the Orthodox say they don't have to work?
So I don't think so. I don't think that this is it. I think Nechunya is just a matter of attitude towards life, and that what makes it as if we feel like we have burdens on our shoulders, and what makes it as if we feel like we are walking without any burdens. And for his perspective, the accepting upon ourselves the Jewish system is then for outsiders it might seem like a burden, but for those in the system within the Jewish community, it's not a burden at all, and it makes other burdens feel as if they're not even there.
So in God we trust is very meaningful.
In God we trust, but again, not counteracting Al's idea. It's not like in God we trust for God to take care of us and that we don't have to work at all. I think it's really to be understood. In God we trust so that life will feel easier. It's not necessarily true that life will be easier. It's that life will feel easier. Okay. So mourners and those observing yahrzeit rise for Kaddish D'Rabbanan. We turn back to page 38 in the Lev Shalem, or 27 in the Sim Shalom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalmad yivrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayachon v'yomeichon v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael v'agalav izman karivim ru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'me'ol maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran Be'alma Vimru Amen. Al Yisrael Be'al Rabbanan Be'al Tamidehon Be'al Kol Tamidehon Be'al Kol Mandoskin Be'oraita Diviatra Hadain V'Divachol Atar V'Atar Yehei Lahon Ulachon Shlama Rabba China V'Chista V'Rachamin V'Chayin Arichin V'Mezona Revicha Uforkana Min Kadama Vuhon Divishmaya Vimru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Tovim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael Vimru Amen Oseh Shalom Bimromav Ubrachamav Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael Vimru Amen. We all rise for Baruch Hu on the next page. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach. Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Vaed. May be seated. Baruch Adonai Elohim Echad. Shever Olam Aru Avim Echad Shavim. Ma'avir yom u'mevi laila, mavdil ben yom u'ben laila, Adonai tzavot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai amari v'aravim, Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amcha Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shochveinu v'kumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, Le'olam va'ed, ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, uvahem neged yomam v'layla. Le'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha, Hayom alevavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'aderech, u'v'shochbecha, u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chetavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha. והיה אם שמעתי שמעשותיי אשר היום. נתתי עשר וזרעך. שמת דברי לבבכם, אשריכם ושלטון עליכם. ונתנו אותם מפניכם לדבר בם שטח ותרצו. על הארץ. ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר ויעשו דבר ונזזית אבנים. אבל שעשיתי אתכם ישראל לכם אלוהים. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת ומנה כל זאת וקיים עלינו וקיים עלינו עמדתו ושלם גבול חולי נפשנו. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem. Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael achanu shira. V'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefele. Malchutcha ra'u vanecha. Bokayam lifnei Moshe, Zeli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch leolam ba'ed, V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. I asked Stuart to read for us the English translation of Hashkivenu, found on page 45 in Lev Shalem, or 33 in Sim Shalom. Go ahead, Stuart.
Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, and starvation and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Thank you, Stuart. Shmor tzeiteinu v'oeinu l'chaim l'shalom me'atav yad olam ufros aleinu sukat shalom echa baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We rise for B'shamru, the next page. B'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabba B'yalma divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'b'yomechon U'b'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala ba'gala Uvisman kariv imeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, leolam lo me'olma yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha berichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran be'alma v'imeru. Amen. We read the Amida 47 to 52 in Lev Shalem, 35 to 38 in Sim Shalom. As we conclude our private prayers, we continue on page 53 in Leif Shalem, 47 in Sim Shalom. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, קונה שמיים וארץ, מגן אבות בדברו, מחיי מתים במאמרו, האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו, ביום שבת קודשו, כי בם רצה להניח להם, כי בם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעון הברכות אל ההודעות. אדון השלום, מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה, לעמדו שני עונג, זכר למעשה וראשית. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, רצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך, ותן חלקנו בתורתך, סבנו מטובך, ושמחנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה ורצון שבקודשך, וינוחו בישראל מקדשי שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמי. יברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צלחה והון לכל ישראל קדם והון בשמיא ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רב משמיא וחיים עלינו על כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen. And I asked Marv Kruger to lead us in Kiddush, page 55 in Lev Shalem, 49 in Sim Shalom. Go ahead, Marv.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'yavo v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikroi kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. B'shabbat kodshecha b'yavo v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Yasher Koach Marv, thank you very much for leading us in Kiddush. We continue for 56 in Lev Shalem, 51 in Sim Shalom. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, late gedula liyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, begor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמי שריו ועצמו שם גבוה על כן נקבל לכן אלוהינו. קבלו כולם את המלכותיכם. כי המלכות שלך היא עולם מעטים לך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish, יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ויומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. Just a couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, the service at 9:30. We're going to honor all the kids who became bar bat mitzvah during COVID and weren't able to have an aliyah as part of their bar and bat mitzvah service. So 8 of the 11 will be there tomorrow. So that'll be very nice to be able to honor them. And tomorrow evening, Shabbos is over at 7:10. So we'll have evening service and Havdalah at 7:15 tomorrow evening. Susan Rubenstein is very sorry, but she told me today that she has to cancel the women's Rosh Chodesh circle for Sunday because I'm not sure. She told people the reason her son was in a serious car accident. He'll be okay, but he's still in the hospital, so she's taking care of him. So we wish her and her son Noah speedy recovery. We are looking forward to, on Sunday, October 24th, in the morning, the first in the Makers and Bakers series. So information went out about that, about henna, learning how to do henna tattoos. And so I saw Mara and Babette practicing the other day in shul. Looks pretty cool. So it might not be too late to sign up for that. You have to, there's a fee for that because of the materials for the henna. So look to the emails that went out. Can also look on the calendar, the shul calendar for the 24th. Information might be there for that as well. And we conclude the service with Yigdal on page 62 in Lev Shalem, 53 in Sim Shalom. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimtza v'yeneit el metziuto echad v'yen yachid keyichudo ne'elam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kadmon l'chol davar asher nivra Rishon v'yen reshit le'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefan nevuato netano el anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael kemo she'od navi u'ma'abit et emunato Torah demenatan le'amo el al yad nevio neman beito lo yachalifa el velo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato sofer v'yodea setarenu mabila sof davar v'kadmato go meleish chesed kemifalo noten l'rasha ra kerishato Yishlach leketz yamin meshichenu liftod mechake ketz yeshuato meiti mechayael berov chasto baruch hadeyad shem tehilato meiti mechayael berov chasto baruch hadeyad shem tehilato. Shabbat shalom, everyone. It's
Shabbat
good to see
shalom.
everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, my dear friends. Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Julian.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Howie.
Thank you for the call. My bad.
Hey, we were waiting for you, and
Yeah.
sorry.
It was how we
No, my bad. I
go to
just
seven.
a crazy week, a little famished.
Okay,
You're entitled.
you're entitled. At least you got to lead the service last night.
Yes. I also got in this morning somewhere else. So
Okay, good.
2 out of 3, not too bad for a Jew.
That's right. All right. Shabbat
Did I
shalom.
tell you all my daughter's engaged?
Oh, Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I couldn't remember if I told you all that.
No. Send the information to me by email, Doreen, so we'll make sure it gets publicized. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Thank you.